Dyke, as told to me by Pastor Don Wagner. This is a story that has touched me deeply. It has had a huge impact on my faith and my theology, my understanding of God. As Pastor Don shared this story each year in Epiphany, I hope to carry on the same tradition and pray that this story may also impact you deeply. In the days when Augustus Caesar ruled over many kings, including Herod of Jerusalem, there lived in the mountains of Persia a certain man named Artaban. Artaban was one of the Magi, learned men who would study the stars at night in search of the truth about God. Together with his friends, Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar, Artaban had made an amazing discovery. In ancient writings, they found a promise that at a special time, a new star would rise. And at that star's rising, a king would be born. He would be the truth, sent from the one God, the Son of the Most High. Well, Artaban believed that time to be near, and so he sold his house and all of his possessions, and with them bought 3 gems as gifts for the new king. He bought a sapphire, as blue as the Persian night sky, a ruby, as red as the first rays of sunrise, and a pearl, as pure and white as the snow-capped mountains at twilight. Each night, Artaban spent searching the sky until, at last, could it be? There in the distant horizon, just a spark at first. But as it rose, it grew first blue, then red, then a dazzling white, bright light. Artaban exclaimed, "It is the sign!" And so with haste, he gathered food and provisions for the long journey. He had made plans with his friends, Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar, that they would meet at the temple in Babylon by midnight, 10 days from when the star would first rise. He could not be late. Artaban saddled Vazda, his fastest horse, and they rode off into the night. For 10 days they rode, over grassy hills, through lush valleys, climbing mountains and crossing rivers, barely pausing for food or rest. On the 10th day, Artaban knew they were just a few hours from Babylon, when suddenly something startled Vazda. Artaban dismounted, and there, near the side of the road, was the body of a man. Artaban turned to leave, but there was a groan and a tug at his robe. The man was alive. Artaban knew that without help, this man would not survive. But if he paused, he would surely miss his friends. Artaban turned to the star that he had been following. O God of truth and light, give me the wisdom to know what it is you would have me do. And with that, Artaban knew. Hour after hour, Artaban nursed the man back to health. giving him cool sips of water and medicine made from herbs that he had carried with him. When at last the man was strong enough, he said to Artaban, "I have nothing with which to repay you, but I can offer you this. From our scriptures, we know that the Messiah is to be born in Bethlehem, not Jerusalem. And that is where you must seek him." And with the Hebrew man's blessing, Artaban rode off, reaching Babylon by the first light of dawn. Artaban's friends were long gone. But at the foot of the temple, underneath a brick, there was a note. "We have waited until long past midnight and can delay no longer. We go to seek the king. Come, follow us across the desert." Worn and weary, exhausted, Artaban knew that Vazda could not make that trip alone. Reluctantly, he sold his sapphire and bought a camel and provisions for the journey. Week after week, month after month, Artaban crossed the desert, always following the star, always hoping to catch up with his friends, always praying to see the king. When Artaban finally reached Bethlehem, he searched the town, and in a small stone cottage, he found a young woman cradling her baby. Could this be the child that he had been seeking? No, it wasn't. But she sat with him and she talked with him. Yes, there had been 3 strangers here, and they had brought with them very strange gifts that they gave to Joseph and Mary and their baby. But just as quickly as they came, they left. And then Joseph and his family left in the night. No one knows why, but rumor has it they went to Egypt. Suddenly, there was an uproar in the streets, screaming and shouting, swords clashing. Women were crying out, "The soldiers, Herod's soldiers, they're killing our children." Artaban wasted no time. He motioned for the woman and her baby to hide, and he stepped into the doorway. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the ruby. When the captain of the guard approached, Artaban stated simply, "I am alone here, and I have this gem for any soldier who will leave me in peace." The man greedily snatched up the ruby and motioned for the other soldiers to march on. And Artaban turned once more to the star he was following. "Oh God of truth, forgive me for saying that which was untrue in order to save the life of this child, and for once again giving to another that which was meant only for you. Will I ever be worthy to see the face of the king?" The next morning, Artaban rode off for Egypt. He saw the pyramids and the Nile, always searching. He found many to serve, but none to worship. After 33 years, with his body old and tired, Artaban thought once more to return to Jerusalem, to search for the king there. When Artaban arrived, the city was busy with preparations for the Passover. But there was something more in the crowded streets, a pushing, a shoving. And when he asked what was going on, he was told, "Well, haven't you heard? 2 thieves are to be crucified, and with them a man, Jesus of Nazareth. Some say he is the Son of God. He is to be executed for claiming to be the King of the Jews." Well, Artaban's heart raced. Could this be? Could this be the one he had been searching for all these years? And then he reached in his pocket and felt the pearl. Maybe, just maybe, he could offer the pearl to the enemies of the king and rescue him. As he turned to go find him, soldiers crossed his path dragging a young girl. She was dirty and her hair was tangled, her dress was torn. She cried out to him, "Help me, kind sir. My father died owing a large sum of money, and I am to be sold as a slave to pay his debt. Save me from a life worse than death." Artaban had missed the king twice already because he had stopped to help another in trouble. But wouldn't helping this girl be an act of true love? And wasn't that what this God was all about? Artaban pressed the pearl in the hand of the young girl. "Your ransom is paid." And the sky turned black. Thunder rolled through the streets. The soldiers ran off, and buildings began to sway back and forth. Suddenly, a piece of tile fell and struck Artaban in the temple. He fell bleeding. As the young girl sat cradling Artaban's head, she could not tell who he was speaking with, but she could hear him in his Persian tongue. "But when, Lord? When did I see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did I see you naked and clothe you, or sick and in prison and visit you? I have searched for you for 33 years, and I have never seen your face." And then the girl heard the voice, gentle but strong. "Whenever you served any of my children, you served me." And with a great peace, the other wise man